All right, guys, we're going to be working on science now. As a reminder, to get to your weekly schedule, you can either go through like Miss Park's website, you should have it bookmarked. It'll be under weekly schedule, or you can go to our classwork in our Google Classroom, and then it'll be under resource links, and then you'll see the weekly schedule link. Okay, so for today, we are now moving on to science. We've done a few weeks in social studies, in history, but now we're going to be moving on to science. Now, you're going to notice that today, after we do our science lesson, there's going to be a link. And the reason why is because if you click on it, it's going to send you to our video. It's not up right now because we're currently recording it, but your math lesson, the YouTube video link is there. And your ELA lesson that we recorded today is there as well. Okay. So this is for science. And for science, you guys are going to be going to Connect Ed, which is your McGraw-Hill. So if you go to Google Classroom, you click on your waffle, you scroll all the way down, you're going to click on McGraw-Hill. It's the same place that you would go for Wonders. And that's where your science is going to be. So science and ELA will always be in McGraw-Hill. History and math will always be in Savvis EasyBridge. Okay, so yours is going to look a little different than mine. Mine, for some reason, is always going to be here, but for yours, it will be probably on this page right here. And you're going to click on the one that says Inspire Science. So just look for the one that says Inspire Science for you guys. Now, once you click on it, it should automatically be there. For some reason, mine's not updated. So I need to go to our online independent study program elementary school. And there it is. If you have multiple ones, just make sure that you're in grade 2. Okay. All right. So here we see that we are doing Unit 1 Land and Water, our Lesson 1 Local Landscapes. So once you guys are here on this screen, you are going to click on this arrow that is, it looks like a greater than symbol that we learned in math. If you click on that, it's going to open up all of the different units that we're in. So right now we're in Unit 1, Land and Water. Now, if you click on this greater than symbol right next to it, it's going to open up all of your lessons. So from here, you can click on local landscapes. Now, let's say that you forget and you don't open it up and you just click here and you just click on Unit 1. What it's going to do, it's going to open you up to our lesson opener. So you're going to see that you're not going to have as many options as I do, but you're going to see that this is going to be the module opener. Now from here, if you get here and you're not sure how to go back to the dashboard, which is your home page, you can actually click on this notebook. It looks like a notebook because it has if you, I don't know, it kind of looks like a notebook. Like it has like the spirals or like the bullets and then the lines. So I call it a notebook. So if you click on this notebook, or it kind of looks like what, 3 exclamation marks sideways. If you click on that, then it's going to open up to those lessons. So we're going to click on Lesson 1, Local Landscapes. All right. So if you're in class right now, you guys can follow along. And if you need more time to get there, then you guys can watch the YouTube video later. And as you're watching it, pause at each point. So, okay, Ms. Park is clicking on the notebook. Pause the YouTube video, go to your own Connect Ed, and then get to wherever you need to go to. All right. So you're not going to have as many options as I do. Oh, I guess I wonder if I can preview the student page. Oh, I can. Perfect. So this is what you guys will be looking at. All right. So if you notice what it says here, it says that you're going to complete the explain and the evaluate. So when you look at your Connect Ed, you're going to see that there's an engage, there's an explore, there's an explain, an elaborate, and an evaluate. All you guys need to do is complete the engage and the evaluate. That's all that I am requiring you guys to do. I'm sorry, not engage and evaluate, explain. All you need to complete is the explain and the evaluate. Now, you are going to notice that there are other links that you can click. For example, you can click on the Science Pro, you can click on engage, you can click on explore. However, I'm not going to require those things to be completed. So if you want to click around, you're more than welcome to. However, for class, we are only going to be doing the explain and the evaluate. If you want to do the elaborate, you can. Now, if you have your book, let me show you what your book is. And as a reminder, by today, I would like you guys to message me and let me know what books you do not have. Okay. So this is going to be your Inspire Science book. Okay. There's going to be 4 of them that you need. The first one is this one, which is Land and Water. The next one is going to be this one, Unit 2, Properties and Materials. The next one you're going to need is Unit 3, Earth's Changing Landscapes. And the last one you should have is Unit 4. I can't read that one. I want to say it has something to do with like ecosystems. So those are the 4 science books you guys should have. The one we're going to be using for this week and for the next couple of weeks is going to be Land and Water. You're going to see a picture of a mason jar with rocks in it. And then there should be like some mountains and some like hills and then like a lake. Okay. So we're in that book. Now, the only issue is that Miss Park, they didn't give me my own TE or my own teacher's book. So I don't know what pages you guys are going to be on. So I'm always going to be referring to the online text. However, if you want to do this in your book and not online, you are more than welcome to do it online. In your book. All you need to do is find in your book where it says Unit 1. You know what? I wonder if I can find it online. Let me see if I can find it so that I can help you guys. Let me pause this video real quick. All right. So if you in your book, click on ebook right here. In the search bar that was up there, if you click on ebook and you look for it right from here, it's going to show you all of your different books that you have. So you guys are going to go to Unit 1 Student Edition. And you don't need to do this if you're online. I'm just showing this for the students who have their actual books that they want to use at home. Okay, so you don't need to know where this is. So when you guys open it up, if you have your actual book, this is exactly what it should look like. Okay, so if you look here at your table of contents, we're in Unit 1, Lesson 1. So if you go to Lesson 1 and you see that it's going to start on page 5. So what you're going to do is you're going to scroll down. It looks like there's Earth's landscapes and there's like a online video you can watch, which you can do, but we're going to start on the explain. So you're going to look, okay, there's page 4. Here's page 5. Now, Ms. Park says that we're going to do explain. Now, I'm going to show you guys what it looks like. And all you're going to be doing is you're going to match it with what you see here. So the science probe, we're not doing. The encounter the phenomenon, we are skipping. The inquiry activity, we're going to skip. Now you're going to notice that down here, it's going to say the word explore. This is going to be the explore. Now, these inquiry activities are actually really fun. I've done these with students in class before. So if you guys want to do this, then this is going to be one of those optional assignments that you guys can totally do. All you need for this week is a cup of water, some marbles, and some crayons. If you have those things, you are more than welcome to do this. However, you're not turning it in, so you do not need to complete it, all right? Now, you're going to notice that on page 10 and 11, it's going to start saying explain. When you see that explain in your book, that's what you need to complete. So let's look. It says you need to complete the explain and the evaluate. So you need to do pages, for those of you who are going to be working in your books, you need to do pages 10 and 11 because it says explain. You need to do pages 12 and 13 because it says explain. You need to do pages 14 and 15 because it says explain. Now, for these foldable activities, I'm actually going to not do these because these would have been things that you got in class. So it's going to say, cut out the notebook foldables given to you by your teacher. Obviously, I can't give you guys anything. So for these ones where it seems like it's a little extra work or it says that your teacher is going to be giving you materials, just skip those. And we'll talk about it in class as well. Here, you're going to see the word elaborate down here. So same thing for elaborate. We're not going to do that. Elaborate. We're going to skip that. If you want to know what a surveyor does, feel free to read it. And then on page 20 and 21, you're going to see the evaluate. So we are going to do pages 20 and 21, the evaluate, and we're going to do page 22, the evaluate. You're going to notice that page 23 says lesson 2, which we're not doing. So let's go over it again. You're going to go to Unit 1, Land and Water. We're going to go to lesson 1. And I said we were going to start on the explain, which is on page 10. So if I'm not ever telling you the page numbers, what you're going to do is whatever I'm doing online, you're just going to look for that in your book. Okay, so watch here. It says landscapes. It gives you the vocabulary words. There's a picture of the California poppy field. So now let's see what we're working on online. I'm going to go back to dashboard. Dashboard just means homepage. Click on the greater than sign. Click on the greater sign again. Greater than sign again. Click on level 1 local landscapes. I'm going to scroll down to explain. And then do you see how that picture that we were just looking at is right here? So there are 3 different links you need to click on for explain. Now where it says additional resources, you do not need to do. Now you're going to notice that foldable that the teacher was supposed to give you is going to be here. However, it is optional. These all say additional resources. That means that you do not need to do them. If you want to, like here's some music, here's some songs about patterns. If you want to listen and watch and do them, be my guest, but you do not need to. All right. So let's look at it as a student again. All right. So for explain, I'm going to open it up and we have these 3 links. Okay. So right now you're in this, where I'm in the student one. We're only going to work on these 3. I'm going to click read about landscapes. Oh, you know what? I can't click on it because I'm in a student one. There we go. And these ones are nice because they will also read them to you just like in history.
Landscapes. What do you think of when you hear the word landscape? You might think of plants and flowers. A landscape is the stretch of land that can be seen from a place. The landscape in one area might be high and on a slope, or slant. The landscape in another area might be low and flat. It might be covered with trees or water.
All right. I noticed, I was just reading through the chat and I do notice that some of you guys are having trouble finding this. What I'll do is I'll post this YouTube video again so that you guys can watch it later. But after I go through the lesson, I'll show you guys again. So if you're having trouble finding this right now, just pause and just pay attention. Okay. As long as you're paying attention, that's all I can ask for today, because we're going to be reviewing it again tomorrow anyways. So if you can't find it right now, no worries. Just look at my screen. And I just realized that I think I'm sharing my entire desktop. All right, there we go.
What is the landscape like around you? Teacher note.
Whoopsies. Okay, let me read that again. Landscapes. What do you think of when you hear the word landscape? You might think of plants and flowers. A landscape is the stretch of land that can be seen from a place. The landscape in one area might be high on a slope or slant. The landscape in another area might be low and flat. It might be covered with trees and waters. What is the landscape like around you? So here's a picture. This painting by Granville Seymour Redmond is called California Poppy Fields. Artists and cartographers both study landscapes. Describe the landscape in the building. I'm sorry, in the painting. So you can answer it however way you want. Here's a sample answer. You can say that the landscape has mountains. Here are the mountains. And it has hills. And here are some of those hills. So that's what you could say about the landscapes, okay? Now, the next portion says, circle an area on the painting that shows a slope in the landscape. Circle an area on the painting that shows a slope in the landscape. So I'm going to click on draw. And here I see a slope right here. It's going down. It's slanting. There's this hill, and then look right here. It's slanting. Do you see how it's going down? And then right here, it's going up. Those are some slopes. The student could circle a mountain or a hill. So this is a slant, a slope. Here's another slope. Here's another slope. Here's another slope. Here's, oh, right here. Here's another slope. Do you see how it's going down? All right. And then what you're going to notice that if you're going to do it online, the greater symbol is not going to let you go on anymore, which means that you've hit the end of that portion. So then what you're going to do is you're going to go to the next one, read about maps. Okay, one way to show what the land is like is to make a map. A map is a drawing of an area of Earth's surface. It can show you what the land and water are like in an area. Scientists use maps. Many scientists depend on maps. They use maps to organize information and to share information with others. Look at the map below. It shows what the land is like in different areas. The rough tan areas show highland. The smooth yellow and green areas show lowland. So let's look at it again. The rough tan areas show high. So these areas are all highlands. And we know that also because look at what it says. This one, these high areas right here are the Rocky Mountains. The smooth yellow areas, like right here, show lowland, like the Great Plains. Maps can also show cities, roads, and buildings. Most maps have a map key. A map key uses symbols. So here's that map key to show, and these symbols show where certain features are located. So the 80, this would be the 80 Interstate Highway right here. We have an airport. So we've got, how many airports do we have here? We have 3 airports. Oh, 4. We have the Sacramento International Airport here. We have the McClellan Airfield. We have the Mather Airport, and then we have the Sacramento Executive Airport. So there's 4 airports. We've got some dark green spots that are going to be parks. We have the Sutter's Landing Regional Park, the McKinley, the McClatchy, and the William Land Regional Park. Points of interest are important points that people might want to know about. Like maybe if you visit Sacramento, you might want to go to the zoo or the old Sacramento Historic District. So this map key and its symbols helps you find certain places you might want to go to. Many maps include a compass rose to show direction. So here's that compass rose. And normally when you are looking at a compass, up means north, down means south, east means to the right, west means to the left, normally. So here on this one, that's where it's pointing. So if you're saying, if you're at the Sacramento Executive Airport and you're saying, I want to go to the zoo, you would say, okay, the zoo is north of you. Now, let's say you get to the zoo and you say, I want to go to the McClatchy Park. Okay, the McClatchy Park is east of you. Okay, well, I really want to get to the McClellan Airfield. Okay, the McClellan Airfield is north of you. Okay, I want to get to the Sacramento International Airport. Okay, that's going to be west of you. And then I really want to get to the old Sacramento Historic District. That's going to be south of you. All right, moving on. Maps answer questions. Maps help scientists answer questions. This map answers questions about where lizards live. Look at the key. A lizard symbol marks each new place a lizard was found. A purple symbol marks each place a lizard was observed. Okay, so here are those purple dots, and that's where they were observed. Yellow means that they predict this is where they live. And then green is the new observations that they found. Use the map key, find the area that shows where scientists predicted they would find lizards. Circle it. Now, for you guys, if you're working on it in your books, you'll just draw straight in your books. That's okay. You're not going to be giving these books back. So students should circle the yellow area on the map. So what you'll do is you'll circle all of this yellow. And there, it looks like there's a little bit of yellow here, some yellow here, some yellow here. Okay? Because that's where scientists predicted that they would find these lizards. Now look at the map of the United States in maps. What patterns do you notice? Write a question about a pattern you see. Now, look at the map of the United States in maps. I'm assuming there would be a book or something we had. If we were in class, I would have an actual map, but we don't. We're not in class. So write a question about a pattern you see. So you guys might see a map of the United States, and I'll just look up one up for you guys. All right, so here's a map of the United States. You're going to notice that we have different countries. There is the Pacific Ocean over here. We have the Gulf of Mexico. We have the Atlantic Ocean. We got some big lakes over here. We have a big country up right above us. So what is a pattern that you see? So you might say, why are areas of high land near water? So that might be a question that you might ask, and that would actually be, it might be from page 1. Right here, there it is. So it looks like there's these big areas where there are these mountains, the Appalachian Mountains, the Rocky Mountains, and they're always next to water. There's all these rivers near them. There's all these like lakes near them. So you might ask, like, why is it that there's all this water near mountains? That might be a question you guys might have. You don't need to answer that question. All you need to do is just write your own. Write a question you might have. Now check out Learning from Maps to see how different maps can answer questions. So let's go ahead and watch this video.
Look at the land and the water. Maps can be made of an area just like this one. A map is a drawing of an area of Earth's surface. Most maps have a map key, like this one. A map key uses symbols to show where certain features are located on the map. This symbol shows us where the state capital is located. This symbol shows us where a city is located on the map. Many maps also include a compass rose. A compass rose is a symbol that shows north, south, east, and west. Maps help you gather information. They can show you what the landscape or the land and the water are like in an area. For example, on this map, we can see where the United States is located and where lakes and rivers are located. Maps can show you where the land is high or low, or if the land is flat or on a slope. See the lines on this map? These are called contour lines. The closer the contour lines are to each other, the steeper the slope on the land. The numbers tell how high the land is. Maps can also show cities, roads, and even buildings. Maps also help you answer questions. They can tell you how many miles you will travel to reach your destination for your next vacation. This is called a map scale. A map scale tells you how much real-life distance a map covers. It tells you how many miles it is from one location to another. Maps can even tell you if it is going to rain tonight. This is a weather map. The raindrops are a symbol that tell you that it is likely to rain. Look at this map. Do you see any patterns? Anything that repeats? Here we see a mountain shape repeated many times. This pattern tells us that this is a mountain range. Do you see any patterns on this map? Look at the colors. There are areas of brown, green, and blue. Brown shows where mountains are. Green shows where the land is flatter. And blue shows where water is. We can see patterns all around us. Those patterns look different if we're standing on Earth, flying over Earth, or seeing an image of Earth from a satellite. Moving farther away from the ground changes the patterns we see. A lot of the information people use to make maps is from satellites. A satellite is a small human-made machine that orbits Earth. Some satellites take pictures of Earth from space to help scientists do things like predict the weather and make maps. Satellites also send out signals that help people navigate or find the right way to go with a system called GPS. GPS helps people see where they are on a map and which way they need to go, and about how long it will take to arrive there. Have you ever seen someone using GPS? Maps help people gather information, answer questions, and get places. The next time you look at a map, think about all the different kinds of information you can gather from it.
All right. So if you want to rewatch that video, feel free to. You guys can also even watch it from watching the YouTube video. Now, once you're done with that, what you're going to do is you're going to go to the evaluate. So if I'm going to your your student page, you're going to see these two. So it's going to say the lesson review local landscapes and then the build the model of California. You can skip this one. We're not going to do our orange one. And I'll show you guys what I mean. So you're going to go to evaluate and you're only going to click on the lesson review. Now, once you're over here, it's going to ask you the question. How can you describe this land? Summarize it. Describe the shape of this land. So you guys can write whatever answer that you'd like. So you could answer it some way like this. This land has a slope. Where do you see the slope? Let me annotate the screen. Here's the slope. So if there's a slope right here, it's going up and then down and then up. And then this looks like she's going up a slope right here too. So there's the slope. I can tell because it is high in one spot and low in another. So that's how we know that there's a slope or a slant. So it's high right here and it's low right here. You can say other things about what you notice about the land. You can say that the land has very few trees. The land is very hilly, or the land has, a path that the girl can walk home in. We're going to go on to next. Okay, three-dimensional thinking. Look at the map and tell us, which sentence can you tell is true by reading the map? Ted lives on a hill. So let's see. Ted lives here. We can't really tell if he lives on a hill. Even though it looks like the pond is north, we could just be looking at it from up top. So this can all be flat ground. So we don't know if he lives on a hill. Ted lives west of the pond. Okay, let's check. Ted lives west of the pond. So there's the pond. And where does Ted live? Ted lives here. So he would live, east. So he doesn't live west of the pond. Ted lives east of the pond. So it can't be B. C, the land around Ted's school has grass. Well, it looks like this green area is grass. So around Ted's school, there is grass. I think that could be the right answer. So I'm going to put a check mark, but I want to read the last one to make sure. The land south of Ted's school has trees. So south on this map would mean down. And let's check. Is there any trees down here south of his school? Well, I see one up north of his school. I see one east of his school, but not south. So it's not going to be D. So your best answer is going to be C. Now what you're going to do is you're going to check your answer. And look, you got it right. Show the correct answer. The answer was C. Next one. Ted wants to make a model of the map. How can Ted show that he lives on a hill? So let's say that we want to know, okay, well, Ted's like, well, I do live on a hill. How do we find that out? He can put his house in an area that is higher than other places in the model. So that's what you can type here. You can also draw it. So let's say that here's a house. And then Ted's house is, let's say his house is green. So to show that Ted's house is on a hill, you can draw it in a higher place like this. And then this could be Ted's house. So how do we know that Ted's house is on a hill? Because it is higher than this house that is on the bottom of the hill. So that's one way you can do it. And then the last one we're going to be doing is the extend it. Okay, so these are the 3 pages that would be in your book if you have your book, which is why we're not doing the other activity. Okay, you are a land surveyor. Your job is to find the best place for a new airport in your town. Look at the map of your town. identify an area that would make a good place for a new airport. What would the land look like? So let's just all use the city of Cerritos. All right, so here is a map of Cerritos. So here we see that, there's this big area, and this is going to be the Los Cerritos Center. We have a big park over here. We have some areas. We have Cerritos College. There's some big streets. There's a couple freeways. So let's answer this question. Okay. Identify an area that would make a good place for a new airport. What would the land look like? So now, if we want an airport, if you guys have ever been on a plane, you want a place that has a lot of space. You want a place that has a lot of space. So we're going to look on our map to see if there's an area with a lot of space. Now, it looks like there are a lot of like lines here. And the reason why there's a lot of lines here are those are streets. So even though this looks like a big place, this yellow area is actually going to be the mall. And then these areas with all the white lines are going to be streets, and they're probably going to have houses there. So that's probably not the best place. Now, if you look on this side, it looks like maybe right here on this side of where we live, there's this big area, and it looks like there might not be too much stuff. So I think that maybe this area between Valley View and Artesia might be a good place. And why? Because there's not that many streets. So there's a lot of area for the plane to take off, and so that they have a lot of room, and also when they land. So you guys can draw a picture if you want, or you can write about it. And so you can draw like, so here's the mall. And then, here's some lines and streets. And then right here is this big empty space. And so we would want to use that area for the airport. And we might say something like, we need to build a new airport, you would need a large piece of land. The land would need to be flat with no big hills, and there should also be no water around it. And it looks like there really isn't. There's a little river, but it's not like they're going to plunge into the ocean, to a big lake. All right. So that is it, guys, for what you're doing in your science. All right. So let me review by showing you guys again where you're going to go. So I'm going to type in ebook. I'm going to find the unit 1. And all the things we just did. So we talked about the landscape. We talked about maps. We talked about reading a map and answering questions about it. We talked about our landscape shapes. Actually, I don't know if we read this part, so let's read it. Some landscapes may remind you of shapes. Look at the photo below. What shapes do you see in the land? Okay, well, I see a lot of triangles. What shapes to draw the landscape on use shapes to draw the landscape on a separate sheet of paper. What shapes did you use to model the landscape? And instead of doing it on a separate sheet of paper, you guys can just do it right here. So what shapes did you use to model the land? And you can say you used a lot of triangles. What shapes do you see in the land around you? Tell a partner. So if you look outside, you might see some mountains. You might see some hills. And you might see some plain areas. Okay, after that, we're going to skip that foldable. And then this is going to be the elaborate. So then now we're going to go to evaluate. How can you describe this land? Describe the shape of this land. You could talk about how there's a lot of hills, and we know because it's slanting. Some areas are higher, some areas are lower. You're going to talk about what the answer is. Which sentence can you tell is true? And how can Ted show that he lives on a hill? You can draw that right there. And then using words and pictures to describe the landscape of what you would need for the airplane. And that's it. Now you're going to notice that there is a STEM module project. We are not going to do that. Okay. Whatever we're doing is going to be things that we can do in our workbooks. I believe that is going to be it. So you have nothing that you need to complete or turn in today. Tomorrow, we're going to review Unit 1, Lesson 1, and then I'm going to also be assigning you guys a little lesson quiz that we'll go over before you guys take.